Hello and welcome to Pockenrop. Today's video I'm going to do something different to what I've done on this channel before. This is not a ranking list of any type. I'm actually going to do a proper album review. And if you watched previous videos of mine, particularly my 2021 review, you'll know that my favourite album of the year was the Lathums with How Beautiful Life Can Be. They're back with their second album, which is called From Nothing to a Little Bit More. I have been anticipating this album for quite a while, ever since I first heard their debut. I've got some concerns about whether or not they would fall foul of second album syndrome. I'm going to run through the album track by track to let you know what I think of it, and then say whether or not I think I've enjoyed the album. Before I talk about the 11 tracks that make up From Nothing to a Little Bit More, I would remind you to hit the subscribe button if you've not already done so, click the thumbs up to like the video, and the bell to receive notifications of future content. And let's start with track 1, side 1, which is called Struggle. It's a really good opening to the album, a really enjoyable, excellent song. It's melodically varied, which is a criticism I have of quite a lot of modern pop music, is that it's, let's just cycle those 4 chords, eh? But this is not that kind of thing. Great catchy chorus, so much so that it is currently living rent-free in my brain and on a bit of a loop. If I have a criticism of the song, and I do, it's the usage of the phrase wind up dead. It's a bit lame when it comes to lyrical songwriting. I'm sure with a bit of effort they could have found something better, but given the fact that McCartney's been using slightly lame lines for over 50 years, I can give him a pass for what is actually a really enjoyable song, and is clearly, it's about a 9 out of 10. The next track was the lead-off single, Say My Name. This is a real highlight. I think this is an absolutely fantastic single, a great song, really has some great edgy, grabbing you guitars. I thoroughly enjoy listening to Say My Name. Track 2, therefore, is probably a 10 out of 10. The next track is I Know Part 1, and I think, again, we're on a really good run here. This is a great song. It reminds me a little of Bacharach and David, which is possibly on my mind because of the death of Burt Bacharach about a month ago. There's a real 60s feel to this with inflections of the Smiths. Now, the Smiths are a band that will get referenced a lot in this review. They are clearly very strong influences on the Lathums. I really want I Know Part 2. One final thought is that the chorus of this gives me real True Blue by Madonna vibes. It's a very similar chorus, and it makes it all the richer for it. I Know Part 1, really enjoyable song. Probably not as much as Struggle or Say My Name, so 8 out of 10. Track 4 on side 1 is Lucky Bean. For me, this is almost as if that mid-period of the Smiths from The Queen Is Dead and Panic and Ask, that kind of sound that they had at the time, had never ended. It's a happy-go-lucky song of the type that first attracted me to How Beautiful Life Can Be. I do wonder what on earth is a lucky bean. And there's a lot in the lyrics usage of the phrase I know. It makes me wonder, is this I Know Part 2 just renamed as something else? The fact that it follows on from Part 1 makes me wonder. Really enjoy the song. Not quite the best song on the record so far, but the most fun and most enjoyable. I can only give it 9 out of 10. Track 5 is Facets. Again, hugely Smiths influenced. And one of the things that I loved about the first record was I See Your Ghost. Now, I See Your Ghost I've referred to as almost in the tradition of patter songs. If you don't know what a patter song is, then it's something like John Wellington Wells or I Am the Very Model of a Modern Major General, that kind of thing that Gilbert and Sullivan used to stick in every single one of their operettas. There was always a patter song. The scattergun, fast delivery of the lyrics, and Ghosts had that. Facets has it too. Not quite of the frenetic quality of I See Your Ghost. Like I say, very Smiths influenced. I hear Handsome Devil and You Just Haven't Earned It Yet, Baby. It's like they had a bastard child and it became Facets. Love it, 9 out of 10. The final track from side 1 is Rise and Fall. For me, this is the first song that I would say is mid-range, medium quality. However, Alex Moore's vocals can carry a generic type song like this and lift it that little bit higher from mid-range. I enjoy it. It's a decent song. On a CD, this is right in the middle and would be roughly correctly placed. However, we're talking vinyl here. And as a vinyl side 1 closer, it's a little bit of a minor misstep. Weakest song so far, but the vocals of Alex Moore give it a 7 out of 10. So side 1 is solid, and I'm already aware that sophomore album syndrome isn't going to strike this record. So let's turn the record over on side 2, and we are confronted with Sad Faced Baby. This was probably the first track released to the public back in March, April time, I think, last year. With a video, it was not a single. It wasn't a single for the simple reason that it is the first song that I'm aware of the Lathums that swears. There's the F word in the chorus. The chorus is okay, but for me, this is in the right place, a bit like the previous song, if you're thinking about a CD. As a constant run of 11 songs. On vinyl, this is a side 2 opener, and I don't think it works as a side 2 opener, just as I don't think the previous song works as a side 1 closer. It's okay. It's my son's favourite song from the record, but for me it falls a little bit flat. I'm not that fond of it. It's not bad, but it's the weakest thing so far, and I've given it 6 out of 10. Next track is Turmoil. Now this is a low-key song and it's rather lovely. It has the vibe of I Won't Forget the Time I Spent With You from the debut album. It reminds me, however, of a song that I've always said I detest, which is Nothing's Gonna Change My Love For You by Glenn Medeiros. Now I'm aware that it was originally by George Benson. I've never heard George Benson's version, but it can't be worse than Glenn Medeiros's. But I quite like the tune being utilised in Turmoil. It's not wonderful. It's a 7 out of 10. Land and Sky is our next track, track 3 from side 2. And this, I really like this. This is back to greatness again. The words that I get when I listen to it is that this feels sneaky. It slithers and slinks as a piece of music and it feels languid. These are the words that I get when I listen to it. It gives me, oddly enough, vibes of 12 Stops and Home album by The Feeling, which is not a comparison I expected to make, given that that's quite a bouncy album. There's a few of the slower tracks on that record that this evokes for me. I'm giving it 8.5, maybe 9 out of 10. I really like Land and Sky. Penultimate track on the record is Crying Out. In this, for me, they demonstrate their skill in developing a lifting verse to chorus link part. Something that, for example, Keane do phenomenally well. It's a decent song. It's not horrific. It's a song that is about love, but also about sitting and writing a song. And I always have a bit of an issue with that. I'm not that fond of it when, for example, Paul Heaton does songwriting about writing songs. And they do this in Crying Out. However, I enjoyed the track, and it's 7 out of 10. And then finally we come to the 8-minute closing track, Undeserving. Now, I have nothing against long songs. I am an Iron Maiden fan. I can't have anything against long songs if I like Iron Maiden. But an 8-minute song must have something that will hold my attention and my interest for me to enjoy it. And I'm sad to say, Undeserving does not do that. It's the only actual clunker on the record. It lacks attack. It is, whilst it's not a total 4-chord repeat song, it feels like it. They cycle the same chords for the verses. They do something different for the chorus. I want more band to crash in and do something. It's possibly not that style of song. It is a Smiths pastiche still, but it's the self-indulgent misery Smiths pastiche. Now the Smiths could just about carry that off. I will give kudos for the vulnerability in Alex Moore's vocals, but ultimately the lyrics are a bit teen angst and wanky and undeserving. It's the sole track on here that I can live without. 3 out of 10. So overall, they have dodged second album syndrome. What they haven't dodged is a bit of self-indulgence. As an album, I think it reminds me of how I rated Will of the People by Muse, which is, you know what? It's a 4-star album. It's an 8 out of 10. An 8 out of 10 is good and may well grow in time. It definitely easily makes my top 500 albums of all time. I think it will crash its way into the top 250 albums. I don't think it's quite in the league of top 100 like How Beautiful Life Can Be is, which I do think is a 10 out of 10. I'm happy with it. I've enjoyed it. I want my copy of it, and I will be keeping my eye out for a vinyl copy at a price that I'm willing to pay when perhaps prices do come down. I've enjoyed it. They have dodged second album syndrome. If there are 15 albums better than From Nothing to a Little Bit More this year, then it will have been a terrific year of music. This is a early contender for my album of the year of 2023. So that concludes my review of From Nothing to a Little Bit More by the Lathums. If you enjoyed this video, if you've enjoyed the fact that I'm moving into reviews, please do leave some kind of comment or thumbs up and let me know. And I'll end up doing more of these as the year goes. Please remember to like, subscribe and hit the bell. But I'll be back in a week with another video. Thanks for watching.